I'm in self-quarantine. Meanwhile, we've got a new cabinet, the same old corruption, and now coronavirus. 2020 just keeps on giving. The delusions of grandeur that afflict most of Africa's presidents just flabbergast me. The coronavirus pandemic, which is sweeping through every crack and crevice of the entire world and claiming lives at an alarming rate, was no deterrent for those who were hell-bent on inaugurating President Hage Geingob following the announcement of the cancellation of public gatherings of 50 people or more. MICT Executive Director Mbeuta Ua-Ndjarakana made the following announcement before the independence celebrations.
No, not all of us are going to cough. It's only one affected person who will cough. And no, it's not sufficient. Even in China, not a single cough killed even 100 people.
One cough too many.
But Namibians are not coughers. So they're not going to cough on that day. We have lived through AIDS for all these decades and we are moving forward. We celebrated during that very untenable challenge, human challenge. And as a nation, we pulled through. So we are from the land of the brave. Nothing is going to scare us. People like touching children. When a child comes, you come to a house. How are you? On the head, baby. Leave children alone. I'm going to teach my children. Please greet everybody at a distance.
The week before the independence celebrations, I spoke to presidential spokesperson Alfredo Hengari and raised my concerns about the demonstrations that were planned over the president's latest term, the use of EVMs having been deemed unconstitutional, and the promise of coronavirus.
Independence celebrations will continue as planned. We are proceeding with this milestone anniversary for us as Namibians. It's about us. Recognizing that we have traveled a long journey, we still have a long way to go. The president says that all the time, we still have a long way to go. Our society is structurally unequal and it should not continue like that. But there are many things that we've done so well together as Namibians, and there's a reason to celebrate that aspect of our life as Namibians. President Geingob visited Ua-Ndjarakana International Airport to see for himself the level of preparedness with regard to corona, the testing facilities and so on. So, and the Minister of Health reassured us that the country is ready. So let us be calm, let us be serene, let us join the President and other Namibians, most importantly, on the 21st of March at Independence Stadium to celebrate this momentous occasion. We should not be too distracted by some of these things. For as long as our health authorities are reassuring us, we have to be confident that they have the best interest of Namibians.
A few days later, a press conference was called to announce that 2 Romanians in Windhoek had tested positive for the coronavirus. Presidents of both Botswana and Zimbabwe, whose elections also raised eyebrows, announced the measures that would at least curb the violent spread of coronavirus, and then defied their own advice and flew to Namibia to join about 400 others in celebration. Just wow!
Your Excellencies, fellow Namibians, I express profound appreciation to my brothers, the Excellencies, from neighboring countries, my dear friends and brothers, who risked their lives to come here to be with us. You know why I'm saying that? I thank them for their bravery and camaraderie, but they wouldn't have been here if they didn't feel they were my brothers and my comrades. Thank you very much.
I'm afraid that society is just not able to grasp the impact that coronavirus will have, and that our lives will be changed forever as a result. A friend of mine living in Australia recently had an altercation over toilet paper that went viral in that country.
Hey, stop! That's enough! Are you joking? Are you looking at me fucking joking? Just met my daughter. I didn't swear that. She hit me. I didn't touch you. I took the bag. You came and hit me. You touched the bag. I took the bag. You fucking came and hit me. Excuse me? Go away from my daughter. Stop. Please. I just What's the limit? It's 5 minutes.
Alright, guys, I need everyone to back off right now. Stop. No. Yeah. Hold on.
Take it away from there.
Stop. You need to get off this trolley now.
I truly believe that we are yet to feel the wrath of this pandemic, and now government has imposed a lockdown on both the Erongo and Khomas regions following the announcement that we now have 7 confirmed cases of coronavirus in Namibia. God help us all. Please make use of the Ministry of Health's helpline should you feel any symptoms or have questions that you need answered. It's going to get real. Presidential spokesperson Alfredo Hengari and I had a chat about the state of the nation prior to the independence celebrations. Of particular concern to many, as expressed on social media, was the president's lack of action in suing those that have linked his name to the fish rot scandal that rocked this country before the elections.
To say that the president is implicated in any act of wrongdoing, be it with regard to fish rot or any other act, is entirely false. Because so far, there is no grain of evidence or truth that implicates the president in any act of wrongdoing. So on that score, we should not peddle untruths.
I asked presidential spokesperson Alfredo Hengari whether the president has access to fishing quotas or the gains therefrom.
President Geingob is championing the fight against corruption, and the efforts of this country under President Geingob with regard to championing the fight against corruption are widely recognized. We should not forget that Namibia remains one of the best governed countries in Africa. You look at Transparency International, you look at Freedom House, you look at all the indicators. There's no indicator that speaks alarmingly about the state of governance in Namibia.
We are in the
top
10 money laundering countries.
None.
We are in the
There's no indicator of that speaks to Namibia as a country that is in violation of rules. Those ministers that were implicated in wrongdoing have been relieved of their duties at the time we are talking. They are currently facing the courts. So we have to also appreciate the fact that in this country, things are not swept under the carpet. It is why the ministers they were forced to resign, relieved of their duties. As we speak, they are facing the courts of law. So what is important in the fight against corruption is the competencies of your institutions. In this country, corruption does not go unpunished, and the so-called fish rod that you're talking about is a clear demonstration of the fact that allegations of wrongdoing will not be left unpunished. President Geingob is very clear with regard to the fight against corruption. You know that very well, that when he came into office, declared his assets in order to assure Namibians that office will not be used for self-enrichment. Set the tone, set the example. There are ministers who followed suit. In the coming administration, President Geingob was very clear during the opening of a cabinet in February that all ministers will be expected to declare their assets publicly. Now, these are clear acts of transparency, which we also don't see in many other countries. So it signals the commitment of the president to clean and effective governance.
Presidential spokesperson Alfredo Hengari took particular issue with my question about the fact that some Namibians questioned the legitimacy of President Hage Geingob's election following the ruling by the Supreme Court that the use of the EVMs without a paper trail is unconstitutional. We had quite a banter about that.
Namibia is a constitutional democracy. On the 21st of March 1990, we agreed that we will have a country that is governed by rule of law. President Geingob has been emphasizing throughout his political career that it is important to have processes, systems, and institutions. When individuals are aggrieved by decisions or by actions of government or whatever institution, they can go to court. The judiciary in this country is independent. So what happened following the elections of last year, there were some individuals who did not agree with the outcome. They went to courts of law. The Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land, pronounced itself about the validity of the victory of President Hage Geingob. As Namibians, as a country that is governed by rule of law, we have to accept that verdict. It is clear that there are people who deliberately, or maybe some out of ignorance, don't understand what the Supreme Court said. The Supreme Court was very clear about the validity and legitimacy of the results in as far as the issue under contest was concerned, which is the presidential election. President Geingob is the legitimately elected president of the Republic of Namibia. Elected by whom? By the majority of Namibians. As Democrats, we have to respect the sovereignty of the people. When the majority has spoken, we have the obligation to respect their vote. That's what democracy is all about. You and I have that obligation. All Namibians have the obligation, because once the president is elected by the majority, he's the president of all Namibians, not those who voted for him, but all Namibians.
Before we commemorated Namibia's 30th independence, the It's a Rap crew took to the streets and asked young Namibians what it is that they would be celebrating. Check this out.
I'm not going to celebrate independence this year because I don't see and I don't feel the need of celebrating independence.
Yes, I go to celebrate independence because Namibia is free. Yes.
From a personal perspective, I would actually not be celebrating this year's independence for the country, because I don't actually see anything to celebrate. Because number one, the country is going through so much. There is so much corruption going through in the country. The youth is not getting enough opportunities, and it's just chaos everywhere. The country is not in good hands. So I see no reason and no point of celebrating independence. What are we celebrating being independent for if we can't even bring up our own country? So this year, I am not celebrating independence, and I am not going to be doing that unless this country is rightly governed.
I'm personally going to celebrate Independence Day because I feel quite fortunate being born into this time right now, even with all the negative things that might be going on. I feel like we are far off better as a youth than compared to how people used to live before independence. I grew up with my grandmother, and she'd always tell me stories about before independence and what they went through, what they had to go through as 20-year-olds, and it's so personally I'm just celebrating the freedom that I would say that we have in this country at the moment.
People who really love this country continue to be beacons of hope. Some of you might have followed this story online. Some visitors to the country came and decided to leave their mark on some historical sites, amongst other spots, and woke Namibians came together to vehemently oppose that behavior and did something about it. I spoke to Nrupesh, Soni and Dawie, Blauuw, who truly illustrate how we can come together for a better tomorrow. Check this out.
To be honest, we never expected it to reach this far. We didn't think it would end up here within 2-3 weeks now. I think it was 25th February, where Francie posted photos of, she lives in Nrupesh, she's a photographer, she posted photos of the Blauuw station, put it on Facebook, and it popped up, people started sharing it, so I looked at it, it was I think almost midnight. I'm like, what, let me spend 10 minutes and look who tagged it if I can find them. And the guys who do graffiti, they always want to show it off, so it was quite easy to find them on Instagram. And then I saw the video, that they posted, and I started tagging on Instagram and Facebook. That was the first post I did, and he picked it up. Dawie picked it up on Instagram, and he also put the videos, and this is what they've done. And within the 30 minutes after that, somebody put a clip from the video of the guy sitting on the rental vehicle, which is like literally 1 split second, but somebody put that on Facebook saying, can someone identify the vehicle? Next morning, 6:30, I get a phone call from someone, a friend of mine. He's like, yeah, I know whose car it is. It's this person. I've talked to him. Go meet him. By 7:30, I had a lot of information already. And then I posted the first update saying, this is what we found out. And it snowballed into where we are now.
Well, I mean, obviously, because we're all proud Namibians, this is something that, you mess around with Namibia, we take it very close to heart and very personal. So when I saw Nrupesh's tag, because he then got the Instagram account, I tagged the guys in the Instagram account, or in the Instagram post, and we started sharing it, and it suddenly just picked up. I think that first post reached like over 1,000 people within the first 2 days, and everybody was commenting, and through that specific post, we started people from overseas tagging each other, and that's how we got some of the information. A guy from Canada reached out to us through that post, and it just snowballed from there. And then Nrupesh suggested that we, because there's so many guys that were commenting and we should actually start a group. So he started a Facebook group, or a closed group for the bunch of us, and we just started together. And the funny thing is, as I said earlier, we've never met each other. This was the first day we've met. And it just shows you how many Namibians from different backgrounds could come together for such a similar cause. Well, first of all, like I think Francie mentioned it in one of her articles where she said that we don't have big cathedrals and big museums in Namibia. What we have is buildings like that shares our history. And that's why we need to preserve these, because in an economy like this, we know that tourism is big in Namibia. That's what makes this wheel turns around. So that's important for us to look after this. And because Namibia is such a big, vast country, and it's difficult for the tourism from the government side to actually look after our heritage sites. We as Namibians need to take responsibility on our own, because there's not security there looking after the site like you would get in Europe. So if stuff like this happens, we need to act on it.
Until yesterday, there were still letters being sent out, Namibians meeting, like I mentioned earlier. There's a Namibian tour company representative who is from Lyon, and she mentioned yesterday she's going to go talk to the mayor personally, go to the shop. There was a Namibian guy from Austria who said he's been there 10 years. He identified one of the guys from the passport, so he knows where this guy used to hang out. So, there's so many Namibians, these guys in Montreal who have picked it up, taken it with the lawyer of the guy who flew the drone illegally, and he's got it in writing from the lawyer saying this guy did not draw graffiti, he only used the drone, which is also illegal in Namibia. So there's so many things happening simultaneously, and until now the legal process, the official process has not even started. This is just Namibians coming together and doing it. And one of the things we wanted to show was that we don't, in this economy and all these issues that are going around, if there are things like these that we can deal with directly and take over and do it. The number of shares we have had, like you said, every post has been shared over 1,000 times. Not one comment was negative. Maybe one in the 10 posts. Not even negative, like people were just asking, why are we doing this? There was no racist connotation on any of the posts. It was Namibians of all backgrounds who have helped us. There is a Namibian guy, Oshiwambo guy running a travel company in France, in Lyon. He contacted me and he says, now I'm going to go talk to them myself as well, and he's also teaching there. So it is amazing to see how it brought everyone together. It gave a lot of positive feeling to everyone, saying, while things are happening, we've got this to see the positive side of Namibia. You won't expect this to happen in any other country, especially Southern Africa. I don't think this would happen that easily. The support we've got, the newspapers, the embassies, Namibian government officials who have contacted me saying, look, this is great. Officially, we can't do anything until the paperwork starts. Unofficially, you've got our support. The whole team has our support. So it's been great so far. For us, it's, they didn't expect a small country in Africa like Namibia and for it to reach so far, because the more we tried to find them, the more they closed down their social media accounts and their pages. So they know they did wrong. They're just trying to avoid confrontation or just saying sorry. And that's all we've been saying. Say sorry, publicly apologize, and offer for cleanup if you can. first thing is you say sorry, but they just keep on hiding, which makes us more intent on finding them.
And with that, it's a wrap. Make sure you catch It's a Wrap in our new time slots, now on Sundays from 7:30 with repeats on Tuesday nights at 8:30. Be safe and thanks for watching.